INEOS are looking into selling the naming rights to Old Trafford to the highest bidder. What does this mean for Manchester United? What are the negatives and what are the cons? That is what we will be trying to determine in today's video. But before we get into that, please smash a like on today's show. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. Only 50% of people who watch these videos are subscribed. So if you're one of those people who is not subscribed, please do get involved. I'm live every single day at 8:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. UK time. So please get involved here on Daily Red Devil. Okay, so this story is coming out from The Athletic, which I would consider one of the most reputable outlets for sports journalism at the moment. You've got people like David Ornstein, Laurie Whitwell, Adam Crafton. They've got some really, really good journalists there. They don't put out lies. They don't put out clickbait. They only put out reliable, well-sourced stories. So this story broke about an hour ago, and the headline is that Manchester United are now looking into selling the Old Trafford naming rights. So for people who don't really know what that means, effectively at the moment, Old Trafford is called Old Trafford, isn't it? Whereas if you look at other stadiums, Arsenal Stadium's called the Emirates, Tottenham Stadium's called the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Man City Stadium's called the Etihad, Newcastle used to be called Sports Direct Arena. You get the message here, right? Lots of other clubs in the UK have a brand that have effectively put their name on the stadium. So in those examples, Etihad for Man City, Emirates for Arsenal. But Manchester United has always been Old Trafford, okay? Another team that hasn't done it is obviously Liverpool. Theirs is called Anfield. So effectively what INEOS are looking into doing is selling the name. So Old Trafford will no longer be Old Trafford. It could be the INEOS Arena. It could be the Coca-Cola Arena, whatever it might be. It would be a branded name. So it wouldn't be referred to as Old Trafford anymore. By the Manchester United fans, I assume they'd always still call it Old Trafford. But, on all of the branding, on the stadium, on Match of the Day, on Premier League, whatever, on BT, on all of these things, when they're talking about Old Trafford, they would call it by its new name. The branding of the new name would be all over the stadium. So if it was INEOS, there'd be the INEOS logo everywhere. Now, obviously, I think, for me personally, the thought of Old Trafford not being called Old Trafford anymore is pretty sad, I think. I know people might just say, oh, it's just a name, but there's so much history. There's so much memories of that stadium. And to name it something else, I think just cheapens it, being completely honest. And the one big thing that really concerns me about this is the story says that INEOS are effectively looking to try and make more money. They're also apparently looking at putting the ticket prices substantially higher. Ticket prices are already about £60 for a game, and apparently INEOS want to put the prices up even more. And the story even goes on to say that apparently INEOS have already held talks with major financial institutions, including the Bank of America, as they explore a series of funding options to raise capital. So effectively what this story screams to me is that INEOS don't have as much money as maybe we'd hoped, and that they're effectively looking for any desperate way to try and bring some extra money into Manchester United. Now, obviously, there's pros and cons to that. Extra money probably means better players. Maybe it means better training facilities. It might mean better coaches. It might mean maybe some of the debt is cleared. But at what expense? The expense is that Old Trafford is no longer called Old Trafford. And the thing for me is, surely INEOS have enough money to be able to do all of these things they want to do anyway. That's the bit which puzzles me. They're effectively saying that we don't want to use our own money for Manchester United, right? We want to make money through the business itself, opposed to investing our own money into the business. Does that make sense? Jim Ratcliffe, I've just got it up here. Jim Ratcliffe's personal net worth is 21 billion. A new stadium would probably cost about 2 billion, tops. His net worth's 21 billion. INEOS's net worth is 68 billion. Sorry, in 2022, INEOS's revenue was $68 billion in 1 year. Absolutely crazy amounts of money. So for them to now be looking into renaming Old Trafford to try and claw together some money desperately, I think it does scream alarm bells to me, to be completely honest with you. For people with that much money, INEOS and Jim Ratcliffe, why are they desperate to sell off the Old Trafford name? They don't need to do that. They're effectively doing that because they don't want to put their own money in. which I think is pretty bad. And, you know, Jim Ratcliffe, when he first was announced as the co-owner alongside the Glazers, he said that, you know, he was doing it for his legacy. He's a boyhood Manchester United fan and all the rest of it. Does Jim Ratcliffe really want his legacy as Manchester United owner to be the man who sold the Old Trafford name? You know, and it's never going to be anything good. It's going to be like, I don't know, the INEOS Arena or like the Chevrolet Arena. You know, these are just brand names, but I don't know, the Apple Arena, the Tesla Arena, whatever brand it is, it massively cheapens Manchester United. It massively weakens our legacy, I think. And I know some people will say, I only care about the now. I only care about, you know, winning football matches. I want us to win trophies and all the rest of it. Selling the Old Trafford name isn't going to mean that we're suddenly winning the Champions League every single season. It's not going to mean that we're winning the Premier League every season. All effectively as they're doing is they're getting money put into the club without actually having to put their own money in. They're selling our legacy. They're selling Manchester United's brand in order to fund their project. That's effectively the black and white of it. But I'd be really interested to see what you think about this story. How would you feel if Manchester United sold the naming rights to Old Trafford? Let me know in the comment section. I'm going to read through all of the comments because I'd love to see what other people have to say about this. I personally, I don't think it's a good idea. I think the Man United fans will be very unhappy about this. I think the season ticket holders, you know, the people who go to Old Trafford week in, week out, will not be happy if Old Trafford is no longer Old Trafford. Like, I know this is a little bit crazy, but there are genuinely people, season ticket holders, who have like scattered their family's ashes and stuff at Old Trafford, right? Like, that's how much it means to some people. And for Jim Ratcliffe to have only been here since January, and one of the first things he's exploring is changing the name of Old Trafford, like, that just rings alarm bells to me. I've always said I'm going to give INEOS time, I'm going to be patient with them, but I can always have an opinion on different decisions. The Erik ten Hag decision, they made the right decision, but obviously there's always going to be that argument of, did they actually want to keep Erik ten Hag? I don't know, but they've kept Erik ten Hag, so that's good. I'm giving them this transfer window, the next transfer, you know, I'm going to give them 2 or 3 transfer windows before I really make a judgment on them. But so far, the only narrative we're getting out from the club is that we don't have any money. We don't have any money because we're in loads of debt. INEOS could easily clear that debt, easy, without even blinking, but they don't want to. INEOS could easily put money into Manchester United, but instead they're looking at alternative ways to generate income, and one of them is by selling the naming rights. So yeah, the story goes on to say that a lot of this is to do with the stadium. It says that it is now unclear whether INEOS will be willing to carry the burden of debt to fund the new stadium. It says that United's financial results posted in the second quarter of March stated that the club still have around 650 million in debt, including money owed for transfers, etc., etc. It says that those financial results also revealed that 121 million of Ratcliffe's initial cash investment, which had been pledged to go towards infrastructure, had been used to pay down Manchester United's credit facility. So one of Jim Ratcliffe's pledges when he joined Manchester United was that he'd put £238 million into the club for transfers, for infrastructure, for the stadium. And this story is saying that apparently half of that money has just gone to paying off interest on the debt immediately. So we haven't paid off any of the debt. We're just paying off the interest on the debt. So yeah, it is a little bit concerning. And I think a lot of people would be very, very upset if Old Trafford is no longer called Old Trafford. And just to be very, very clear, he's not changing the name of the stadium to like New Trafford, or it's going to be something branded. So it could be the INEOS Arena. It could be, I don't know, the Chevrolet Arena. Who else sponsors us? I can't think of any of our other sponsors off the top of my head. Who's the shirt sponsor this year? Snapdragon, the Snapdragon Arena. So it's going to be something stupid that no one's going to be happy with. It'll be like when Newcastle was named the Sports Direct Arena and the fans went crazy. Daz in the chat is saying, where has this story come from? It's on the New York Times website via The Athletic. So it's a reliable source. It's not a clickbait, made-up story. There's lots of other people reacting to this story. It's everywhere at the moment. That Man United are effectively looking for a buyer to name the stadium. But let me know what you think about this one. It was just a short video. I'll be back live at 6 o'clock for all of your latest transfer news and stuff. Please make sure you smash a like on the video before you go. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. This has been Daily Red Devil, and I'll speak to you all at 6.